The 2005 Doom Patrol movie is a lot better than a lot of people gave it credit at the time, and I'm glad most people are turning around on it. It might be my nostalgia speaking, but I actually like this movie. And yes, I do know about Roger Corman's unreleased Doom Patrol movie that was like the Iron Heart of the 90s. But anyways, a young Chris Evans is actually peak casting as Larry Trainor, the Negative Man. He handles the character perfectly, and I know when he first became Superman, a lot of people brought up this original film, and the joke in Vigilante and Beast Boy is really funny about him reprising his role as Negative Man. But Chris Evans was in a lot of comic book movies, like he was Benz in the Street Shark 2007 movie, or Aqueous in both the live action and animated Homestuck movies. Ian Groford is also great in this film, playing a combination of Niles Calder and Mento, like basically every adaptation, because the real Niles was too busy training the Teen Titans. The heart of the movie is Michael Chiklis as Robotman. He is actually the best person who has ever played this character. His gruff voice is literally exactly how this character should sound. He is a practical costume that is actually perfect. Even under all that latex and junk, you can tell the emotions of the character, and the writing is so good with him. Especially that one scene. You just feel so bad for him. In this new, clunky, awkward body.
Looking terrific today, Rita. Why go up the steps at all?
I can't walk. I can't feel. I can't eat. I can't smell. Can't shit.
Sometimes it helps to picture a place you'd like to go.
I used to hold my daughter's hands when she was learning to walk, and she always wanted to go up the steps. Just walk up the goddamn steps, okay?
So walk up the goddamn steps.
Now, Jessica Alba as Rhea Farr, the Elasti-Woman, was one of the most clowned on comic book movie castings ever. And it's really not her fault that she's not great in this film. Like, literally behind the scenes, she was told to act worse to keep her looking pretty. The effects on her growing and stretchy powers works fine for especially the time. It is pretty hard to make stretchy powers not look really silly or disturbing in live action. Not to be a prude or anything, but they definitely did too many jokes about her getting naked from her powers. The one scene was all they needed. The other three's costumes are well adapted. I do like a lot of these scenes of comic books family acting like a family. They handle well. But the film is really lacking in villains. Like, Julian McMahon as Lord Havoc isn't bad on paper. He's a fine actor, and I mean, it is pretty hard to write a character as complex as Lord Havoc. One of the smartest, yet still self-centered and full of himself DC characters ever. So what did they do? They basically just rip off Ewan Barthon from the Flash films.
If you don't believe me, Victor Von Doom in this movie is a businessman who is basically fired from his own company. He then has a vendetta against those that fired him, the board of whatever, and then later he eventually goes and kills members of the board because they spited him.
His costume's good, but he is in desperate need of more screen time with it because he only fights the group at the very end, and it's cool seeing them come together and using all their powers together. But then they defeat him and turn him into a statue in what feels like no time. And then the sequel, Doom Patrol: The Rise of the Black Racer, is a bad film. It is cool that Negative Man's powers are starting to cause him to body swap with everyone, and then at the end he gets everyone's powers. The Black Racer himself is very well adapted in this film. He looks great, and Lawrence Fishburne is very good in the role. But a lot of this film is just kind of meandering around. Lord Havoc returning and taking the Black Racer's skis sounds cool on paper, but I don't know, he just kind of doesn't need to be here, despite me saying in the last film he needed more screen time. His chest also looks weird. The main villain of the film turns out to be Imperiix, which was turned into a giant cosmic cloud. I get that his comic design is pretty silly, but there's a lot better ways to adapt it than Cloud. It's like in the 2003 Martian Manhunter movie where the final boss is a big cloud monster. Like, why do they keep doing this? But let me know your guys' opinions down below. Do you like Doom Patrol? And subscribe if you're new.